Welcome viewers to the 100th episode of The Big Leap from Mirae. We wish all of you a very happy new year and hope and pray that 2022 brings in a lot of prosperity and happiness to you, to your family, and to your partners and investors. It has indeed been a great journey for us of bringing Big Leap to you for the last 2 years. We completed 99 episodes of The Big Leap and today is our 100th episode. And in that context, I would like to introduce our CEO, Mr. Swarup Mohanty, and invite him to share his views on Big Leap and our journey till now.
Hello, everyone. Today is a very special day for us at Mirae. We complete 100 episodes of The Big Leap. What started as a small story of one individual mutual fund distributors today is spread across the country with some unbelievable stories from all of you. I'd like to thank all of you who participated and shared their business journey with us. We've learned immensely from all of them. And no wonder this business that you all do is so special. Not only us, whenever I travel and go across the country, people tell me that they've learned so much from different business practices that some of you have shared or all of you have shared. From Mirae, it's been a very interesting year. My humble request to all of you would be to look at our product basket in 2018 and look at us now. Today we stand a far more diversified AMC in front of you from a product perspective, both on equity and debt, both on active as well as on passive. Maybe the passive debt will start next year. This brings me to a very interesting side, and when you stand on the threshold of 2022, I'd like to wish all of you, your families and your team members a wonderful new year. Wish you health and happiness perpetually. We look at the next year with a lot of hope and anticipation. The country's investing climate is changing, it is going a phenomenal change in the demography. I feel the next 5 years could have a set of investors, new investors, which will probably outgrow the complete investor base of the industry at this moment. That is the opportunity for all of us. But at the same time, we have to uphold the fiduciary responsibility that has been given to us. And if we do it well, growth is unlimited for all of us. So it's time to understand that opportunity and do good. All the experience that we've had over the period of time of handling clients or us handling all of you and remaining true to the label. So wish you all a very happy new year. Thank you so much from all of us at Mirae for supporting us perpetually, unconditionally. And we look forward to a new year in a very, very happy way. It's back to you, Mayukh. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Swarup, for your message. And thank you for setting the context for today's session. And we will start ahead with our panelists. So welcome, panelists. Thank you so much. And I'm always grateful to all of you. You have been very kind to give us time for your individual episodes. And thank you today for coming together on our 100th episode as a panel. It's a pleasure and honor to introduce the panelists to our audience. We have from Trichy, Ms.Rajee Rajesh. She runs a very successful setup called as Bank on Us, and her foray has always been into financial literacy. We have Mr. Gajendra Kothari from Etika Wealth, Mumbai. Gajendra has set up Etika Wealth about 10 years back and has been one of the spearheading MFDs in the profession and always looking ahead. From Gurgaon, we have Mr. Viksit Rohatgi, and his firm is known as Blue Circle Financial Services. I would have known him for the last 20 years, and the way I've seen his practice and processes prosper, it is something for everybody to learn and appreciate. And from Gorakhpur, we have Mr. Ashish Srivastav. Ashish ji runs a very successful setup called as Nivesh Ki Baat, and he is one of the very enterprising people I know who have been spreading financial literacy in that part of the country. So welcome, panelists. Thank you so much again for being a part of this. My first question will be to all of you, and I'll start with Rajee, is that last 2 years, especially in COVID in 2021, we have seen so many things happening in the industry. There have been scheme issues, there have been closure of businesses, there have been an online awareness among investors and MFDs to embrace technology. There has been an explosion of products and whatnot would you have, which have happened in the industry. What are your observations of the impact of so many events which have impacted the mutual fund industry? What are your views on that?
Thank you, Mayukh, for this opportunity that you thought fit enough to include me in this panel with these esteemed gentlemen.
Our
So,
pleasure.
yeah. So, the last 2 years, if I have to sum it up, I think two aspects have had the most impact. I mean, two aspects have changed. One is, of course, leveraging technology. I think if this was just desirable before COVID, this has become a very essential differentiator now. And using technology for operations or research or brand building, this has become very essential to the distribution business. I feel as a community, we should use this opportunity for our own good. It one is obviously it helps us reduce our own workload, and as we orient clients and our team members to save time, and we also enhance their digital experience of dealing with this. And another important development of technology is that this has practically removed any geographical limitations in client acquisition and servicing. Like, we no longer have to restrict ourselves to clients who are located in our city or where we operate offices. So I think this has just opened several new horizons for us. And one more important aspect in the last 2 years is how important client engagement is for our business. So reaching out to clients, keeping in touch with them has never been more important, in my opinion. The modes are many, but we have to definitely devise our own means, what works for us for touching base with clients, because the only way we can distinguish ourselves from the large scale fintech models and disruptions is through this engagement. Just being an executor of transactions is something we can no longer afford to be. So we need to continuously evolve processes to connect with clients both physically and digitally. And depending upon our client base, I mean, what kind of number and the nature of the clients that we are dealing with, the form of this engagement can vary. But I think it's become very important, and the client should always have you in mind when he or she is faced with a financial predicament or a decision that he has to make regarding his investments.
Thanks. Gajendra?
Yeah, I think last 2 years, I think would be a classic, I would say a 4-year university course packed all into one for all of us. We've seen whatever we could see in a short span of time, markets tumbling almost 40% and then bouncing back to all-time high. This is where I think the role of an advisor is very essential, and he or she plays a very significant role. I think a good advisor in last 2 years, as Rajee would have mentioned, how close are we to the clients when markets came down? Did we make sure that we kind of calm their nerves and make them remain invested? And issues happened within our industry also, and then again markets went all the way to 60,000. So again, we kind of convince them that this is long-term story. This is where our role as an advisor would have been very relevant, rather than trying and tell that this scheme or that scheme. I mean, which sometimes this noise takes over, right? Or active versus passive debate, what we've been seeing. So that I think the true test of an advisor would have been viewed in the last couple of years. The other thing which I completely agree with is from here scaling up. So this program is about big leap, right? How can you think big and scale up? And COVID has taught us in a wonderful way that now, whether it is Boston or Bangalore, clients can be acquired left, right, and center, sitting in your cabin or at your house also. You don't need to be in office as well. And tech. So it's the combination of tech plus team members. I think these two things can really scale up your businesses. And one good thing I will tell you is that clients' readiness to embrace technology has been a big support for all of us. Earlier we could never think that we could have one-on-one meetings, Zoom like this with our investors. But now even a 75-year-old person is very comfortable to come on board, even if he or she is a new investor. They don't have any kind of reservations. So I think this is the biggest game changer in a positive way for all of us. And that's why it doesn't really matter whether you're sitting in Bombay or Gorakhpur or Gurgaon for that matter, right? For now, the platform is leveler for all of us, So that's I think has been the biggest advantage. And I still continue to believe, Mayukh, which I always tells you, that our business is a very boring business, right? And let's keep it boring that way. You'll hear every other week there is some regulation or something coming from the regulator or some product launch. 99% of these things really don't matter to you if you're just working for your client's best interest and making sure that he or she is able to achieve the financial goals. Just keep doing your work silently. These events will come and go, and it really won't matter to you or to your investors. So this is again the most important lesson to me in the last 2 years.
Viksit ji?
Well, Mayukh is what to say. The other two panelists prior to me, they have all taken up and summed up the situation very well. Yes, I agree with them that last 2 years have been very challenging and happening for the world and the mankind, especially on health grounds, and not only on health ground, rather on other aspects of life as well, and financial industry with no exclusion. My deep condolences goes out with all families who have lost their near and dear ones during this COVID-19. How I put upon is evolution, innovation, and adaptation. They happen quick and fast when the backs are towards the wall. I would like to highlight here is the positive aspects that has happened is very swiftly in this times of need for the mutual fund industry. As very well said is adaptation to technology. I compliment here is all the AMCs, all the RTAs, the BSC NSE platforms, the distribution community, and above all the regulator on for their efforts to transform the industry from like paper orientation to completely electronic. At the same time, in such testing times, the efforts which have gone in for spreading investor education, investor awareness, then is from the from both is from all is like the AMCs, the regulators, the distribution, as well as is I would compliment the AMC industry for coming up with more innovative need-based product developments, as well as promotion and encouraging the participation of investors in the capital market and let them participate in the India growth story. I think so that measures and steps such as these will go a long mile changing the entire landscape for this industry. In a sense is that Indian households from being very large savers, they would rather become as very much informed, large and long-term investors with sufficient chunks of their savings as moving to capital markets through mutual funds. I can see very exciting and much better times for the distribution industry as well as the entire mutual fund industry going ahead.
Ashish ji?
हम अपनी बात करें तो 2020-21 की बात हुई है, इसको 2018 से लेके चलो थोड़ा पीछे, यहाँ से 4 साल पीछे, जब म्यूचुअल फंड पे टैक्स इम्पोज हुआ था डिविडेंड पर भी और कैपिटल गेन टैक्स जो लगे थे, वहां से जब हम देखें इस 4 साल को, अभी ये 4 साल हो जाएंगे फरवरी में, तो वहां से काफी कुछ बदलता हमने देखा। ऐसी चीजें आई कि अचानक से निवेशक को ये लगा कि ये क्या हो गया, अचानक से जो एक स्पीड में बाजार चल रहा था, अचानक से क्या हुआ कि ये बाजार फिर एकदम से स्लिप कर गया। फिर धीरे धीरे करके इन्वेस्टर वहां पर समझता, फिर धीरे धीरे चलता, और उसके बाद में जब हमने 2020 में वापस से कोविड की सिचुएशन में बाजार का डाउनफॉल देखा तो ये एकदम से नया था, इतना नया कि जो पिछले 5-6 सालों में नए निवेशक बने थे वो काफी हद तक कंफ्यूज हुए। लेकिन ये मौका हम एडवाइजर्स के लिए बहुत ही अच्छा था। इसमें हमने खुद को डिजिटली ट्रांसफॉर्म किया, ऐसी चीजें हम लेकर आए उस सिचुएशन में जहां पर लॉकडाउन लगे थे, वहां पे काम करना बहुत चैलेंजिंग था। नए एनवायरनमेंट में कैसे इन्वेस्टर्स के साथ जुड़ें, कैसे उनको वहां पर ये समझाएं कि ये जो समय है ये समय गुजर जाएगा। खासतौर पे हमने हर एक निवेशक से ये बात कही थी कि हर म्यूचुअल फंड डिस्ट्रीब्यूटर या हर इन्वेस्टर की जिंदगी में जब तक ये मार्केट में 5-6 डाउनफॉल वो नहीं देखेगा, कभी भी उसके निवेश पर रिटर्न नहीं बनेंगे। तो ये बात किसी हद तक समझाने में हम समर्थ रहे, और सबसे अच्छी बात हुई कि 2020-21 में जितने नए निवेशक आए हैं वो इस इंडस्ट्री की सबसे बड़ी उपलब्धि है कि पुरानों ने तो पेशेंस रखा, लेकिन नए लोगों ने इस बाजार की अपॉर्चुनिटी को पूरी तरीके से इनकैश कराया और तमाम सारे लोग इस पर्टिकुलर पीरियड में इस इंडस्ट्री में आए, तो ये जो साल था 2020 से लेकर 21 अब तक का, ये हमारे लिए तो बहुत ही अच्छा था।
Thank you, everyone. So, Gajendra, let me start with you. Now that we talked about 20 and 21 and how things moved, what do you think is it on the sidelines for the distribution business today, which you think will become much more as the main fulcrum point going ahead? Where do you see things? What do you think things have changed? And what do you think is sidelined today but will become important tomorrow?
No, I think, frankly speaking, Mayukh, I believe that in another 2, 3, 5 years, you will be able to, investors will be able to clearly, shift the wheat from the chaff. Now, as I think Rajee also mentioned, or other panelists, that no longer it's just a form filling job or this thing. I think you need to be going much bigger in terms of what is your value proposition to your client. Frankly, Mayukh, now we have in fact gone beyond one level, and we tell our clients that we are not just investor manager. From investment manager to investor manager, now we are saying that we want to now make sure that are you able to achieve your goals completely, or are you able to live a life you wanted to live? See, 90% of the worries in this world are connected with money, Mayukh. And our role as an advisor is to make sure that if we can help people, don't have to worry about money, then I think we have done a great job in their lives, right? And I'll just give you a classic example. 2 days back, I met a client 3 years later, and it was a half an hour, 45 minutes meeting, one-to-one. And these are 75-year-old gentlemen. And they had 5, 6, 7 issues, right? The moment I met them, and after 40 minutes, say, Gajendra, tum jab bhi aate ho na, to hamari sari problem gayab ho jati hai apna. And haven't we seen all this when we meet a doctor? Suddenly all our illnesses go away, and हम लोग डॉक्टर बोलते हैं सर अभी कोई बीमारी लगी नहीं रहे हैं, we don't feel like. So that should be the kind of expression should be there on client's mind. See, returns are not in our control, Mayukh, that we have seen, right? Markets are always supreme. It's finally all about asset allocation, keeping things as simple as possible, really act in client's best interest, and make sure that they don't have to worry about money ever. They should feel so comfortable, when they remember you or when they see you. I think that is what we should aspire to be. And then no technology, no competition, nothing can really shake us, our business model. This is my firm belief. In next 2, 3 years, this will be even more evident, visible, because what I see all around me is just noise and noise and noise, Mayukh. And most of our clients are not able to filter out what is meaningful for them and not. And they may get really swayed away by these, ever burning topics or headlines, as we call speak. So it's our duty to make sure that we educate and mold their behavior in such a way that, now they become our brand ambassador, and they tell others that, ये सब की चीजों की चिंता करने की जरूरत नहीं है. कोठारी जी ने कहा है कि पैसे रख दो 5 साल के लिए, अपना बन जाएंगे. So this is how our clients should be talking this language to others.
Sure. आशीष जी, नेक्स्ट क्वेश्चन आपके लिए है. आप गोरखपुर में कई अन्य शहरों में आप काम करते हैं, आप देखते हैं कि म्यूचुअल फंड्स के रिलेटेड अवेयरनेस भी बढ़ी है और डिस्कशन भी बढ़ता जा रहा है, चर्चा भी बहुत है, सब जगह पे होता है ये चीज.
बिल्कुल.
बट ये चर्चा क्या ज्यादातर अभी भी रिटर्न्स को लेके है, या एफडी के रिटर्न्स गिरने की वजह से रियल एस्टेट में अब वो चीज नहीं रहा, इसलिए वो म्यूचुअल फंड की तरफ आ रहे हैं, या रिटर्न देख के आ रहे हैं, या फिर उसको एक एसेट एलोकेशन या एक सेंट्रल इन्वेस्टमेंट व्हीकल के हिसाब से देखते हैं? आपका क्या अनुभव है इसमें?
नहीं, रिटर्न की जब बात करेंगे तो ये तो सही है कि सबने रिटर्न बेचे हैं और सभी ने रिटर्न खरीदे. मेरी 15-16 साल की जर्नी है, सभी ने रिटर्न बेचा, इंडेक्स बेचा. म्यूचुअल फंड की जब बात करते हैं तो म्यूचुअल फंड में कहीं भी हमारा इंडेक्स तो नहीं लिखा, ना सेंसेक्स लिखा, ना निफ्टी लिखा. म्यूचुअल फंड में म्यूचुअल लिखा और फंड लिखा. हम जब भी कोई नया आदमी आता है तो हमने हमेशा कहा कि म्यूचुअल फंड को सिर्फ हमारे इंडेक्स से ना जोड़कर देखें. म्यूचुअल फंड में बहुत सारी ऐसी चीजें हैं जिसका इंडेक्स से कोई लेना देना नहीं. और हमारा अभी तो थोड़ा इक्विटी का साइज बड़ा है, पहले जो डेट का साइज था वो तो मेजर कंपोनेंट था इस म्यूचुअल फंड इंडस्ट्री का. लेकिन ये सच्चाई है कि अभी भी जो लोग आ रहे वो रिटर्न देखकर आ रहे, और ये हमको मानना पड़ेगा. और हम हमेशा कोशिश करते हैं कि लोगों से ये कहें कि इसको एफडी का या किसी दूसरे इंस्ट्रूमेंट का विकल्प मान के मत आइए। आप जब अपनी फाइनेंशियल प्लानिंग करें, जब अपने फाइनेंशियल गोल डिसाइड करें, तो वहां पर ये तय करें कि हम अपने पैसों को अपने मतलब कि टारगेट के हिसाब से किस तरीके से यूटिलाइज करेंगे, किस इंस्ट्रूमेंट में यूटिलाइज करेंगे। लेकिन हमारी कोशिश है कि हम लोगों को थॉट प्रोसेस से, जिसमें हाउ टू कीप द मनी, हाउ टू सेव द मनी एंड हाउ टू इन्वेस्ट द मनी, तीनों प्रोस्पेक्ट पे चर्चा करें और तीनों चीजें लोगों को सिखाएं। ये जरूरी नहीं कि हर आदमी पैसा लगाए, पैसा रखने का तरीका जाने जिससे वो अपना कंटिजेंसी का बजट बनाए, फिर पैसा बचत करने का तरीका जाने जिसमें वो इन्फ्लेशन से बेटर रिटर्न निकालने की कोशिश करे। बहुत सारा पैसा है बैंकों में जो कासा की चर्चा होती है, किसी भी बैंक की प्रॉफिटेबिलिटी उसके कासा की बेसिस पर होती है। तो हम अक्सर करके बताते हैं कि जो पैसा आपका बैंक में पड़ा रह गया, आप उसको देखकर मतलब कि चलो कि वो पैसा आपके इन्फ्लेशन के रिस्पेक्टिव कितना बेटर मतलब कि बना। इसके अलावा जब हम इन्वेस्टमेंट की बात करते हैं कि जब हमारे पास निवेश के लिए आइए, तब देश की जीडीपी ग्रोथ और देश की इन्फ्लेशन दोनों को मतलब एक साथ कैलकुलेट कीजिए और देखिए कि आपका जो पोर्टफोलियो बन रहा है वो वहां पर जाएगा कि नहीं जाएगा जिस टारगेट के साथ में आप लेकर चल रहे हैं। और सबसे जो जरूरी चीज है, जो मुझे लगता है कि किसी को भी जोड़े रखना, निवेश रिटर्न बनाएगा, अच्छा या खराब जैसा भी होगा, किसी का कम आएगा किसी का ज्यादा आएगा। सबसे जरूरी चीज है कि आदमी ने जिस समय के लिए पैसा दिया है, जैसे मेरे पास कोई निवेशक आया और उसने मेरे से कहा कि मुझे ये 7 साल के लिए लगाना है, तो 7 साल के लिए लगाने की सिचुएशन में वो 7 महीने, 8 महीने, साल, 2 साल में किसी भी वजह से बाहर ना हो। और अगर उसने कहा है कि 7 महीने के लिए हम पैसा लगाएंगे, तो हम उसको ऐसा कोई प्रोडक्ट किसी भी उम्मीद में ना दे दें कि बाजार को चल रहा है तो हम उसको 2 साल, 3 साल, 5 साल वाला प्रोडक्ट दे दें कि बाजार चलेगा तो रिटर्न बन जाएगा तो वो हमको और पैसे देगा। तो जो 7 महीने, 6 महीने, 5 महीने का प्रोडक्ट लेने वाला है उसको 5 महीने का प्रोडक्ट देंगे, 2 महीने का प्रोडक्ट देंगे। जो 7 साल, 8 साल, 10 साल का है उसको उस 7 साल, 8 साल, 10 साल वाले प्रोडक्ट के साथ में देखेंगे। और साथ में हर आदमी को कोशिश करेंगे कि निवेश चाहे जहां भी जैसा भी करते रहो, एसआईपी जरूर करो अपनी रिकरिंग इनकम से, क्योंकि एसआईपी सबसे अच्छी वैल्यू बनाएगा लंबे समय में। ये मेरा एक्सपीरियंस रहा पिछले 15 साल में। और दूसरे की क्या बात करूं, आज की डेट में जब हम अपनी खुद की बात करते हैं तो हमारे भी पोर्टफोलियो में जो रिटर्न बने हैं वो सिर्फ एसआईपी से बने। लमसम के इन्वेस्टमेंट हम सभी मतलब कि इस चीज के लिए मतलब कि दूसरे से अगर हम कहें कि ये 20 साल का सब देखो, ये फलाना फंड ने 20 साल में ये 90 गुना का रिटर्न दिया, 80 गुना का रिटर्न दिया, तो हम ये सोचकर देखें कि क्या वो मतलब 20 साल, 15 साल हमने खुद के अपने पोर्टफोलियो रखे हुए हैं? अगर नहीं रखे हैं तो दूसरे से कैसे उम्मीद करेंगे। हाँ, एसआईपीज के लिए जैसे मैं खुद मतलब कि अपनी बात करूं तो मेरे पास ऐसी एसआईपीज हैं जो पिछले 11, 12, 14 साल से चल रही। तो वो चीज इन्वेस्टर को बनाना पड़ेगा कि आप जहां भी पैसे जैसे भी लगाओ, अपने टारगेट से कहीं भी मतलब डिस्ट्रैक्ट ना करो। ऐसा ना करो कि मतलब कि हमारे पास आओ 7 साल, 10 साल, 15 साल के लिए और बाद में मतलब किसी भी वजह से वो 5 साल, 3 साल, 2 साल में पैसे निकलने की बात है। और एक टर्म जो होता है प्रॉफिट बुकिंग, प्रॉफिट बुकिंग आज तक मेरे को समझ में नहीं आया कि प्रॉफिट बुकिंग का मैटर क्या होता है। मैं बार बार कहता आया हूं कि अगर आपको जरूरत है और जेन्युइन जरूरत है तो कभी भी पैसे आप निकालो, लेकिन उस पैसे को लगाने का, उस पैसे को जो लगाने का तरीका है वो उसके पहले से पता होना चाहिए था कि हाँ हमको 3 साल, 5 साल में पैसे लगाने थे। ये आप अपने एडवाइजर को बताते तो अच्छा था।
Okay, so thank you, Ashish ji. Raji, I'll come to you because on your financial awareness and literacy campaigns, you see that many investors today, in your discussions, you have always talked about they are more aware and would like to be in control of their future. But they also are between greed and fear. They also have this love for physical assets. And you have this so much of influx of information may not be knowledge. So how do you manage that? What has changed for you in terms of in your interactions with clients now?
Whatever happens, we are still dealing with human beings, right? So there will always be several emotions which is attached to their investment journey. It is very difficult to expect clients to be very, very objective and rational. So a couple of observations, more from my own experience with clients and my discussions during my IAPs. when I'm dealing with the younger generation, and when I say younger, people in their early 30s or even sometimes late 20s, they seem to have more clarity on what they want in terms of their goals. And also perhaps because they are starting off from a situation where they are making much more money than the previous generation would have made in their age. And so they are looking at retiring early, being financially independent. So their acceptance of financial assets is much, much higher. And of course, now people after these last 5, 6 years are more sensitized to the problems associated with physical assets, especially real estate, in terms of lack of liquidity and how apartments actually do not make meaningful returns meaningful investments in terms of returns, how low rental returns can be in residential properties, and the problems of maintenance, monitoring when you have to work from one place, you're forced to move somewhere else. So this is definitely causing a shift or increasing their affinity to financial assets. But the shift, if you're already invested, the shift is going to take time. But what is causing me some concern is within this financial asset segment, the low interest rates coupled with this fantastic market returns that we have seen in the last 18 months is causing a lot of people to move from FDs to market linked instruments. I'm not really sure whether this shift is happening with a complete understanding of the risk reward trade off and the volatility attached to these returns. Just as Mr. Ashish was saying, every investment comes with a specific time frame horizon, but I find that most investors are even treating dynamic asset allocation funds somehow as safe havens and substitute to FDs. I am continuously educating people on the possible beating even balanced advantage funds can take if there is a market correction. Also, the possibility of lackluster periods, if not immediately, at least in the near future. But I think it will always take a period of 5 to 7 years and going through one good and one bad market cycle for an investor to completely understand investments, and that time will tell. So that is what makes you, if not seasoned, at least an evolved investor. So that time has to be given. But yes, the last 2 years have seen a lot of shift in terms of their affinity to financial assets and marketing.
Sure. Thank you. Viksit ji, let me come to your favorite topic, which we have seen in the last 2 years. Most of the time, the MFD is the face of the business, and he is all about the practice. But during these 2 years of COVID times, many of the MFDs had to relook at their business. And many of them have been having this debate of moving from an individual to a corporate setup, where it is beyond the person, and that's where the scales come in. Investors are also looking at such distribution partners or advisors who have that sort of a platform or that sort of a setup where they know that continuity, and so that their funds are also being managed in the best possible. How do you think MFDs have been able to manage continuity of the business, and what is the way forward?
Let me start with this complementing or continuing from where Gajendra left. That is when he shared his experience when he recently met an investor, and that the role of the advisor comes in times of distress. Like, so just recently, I also have a similar wonderful experience, and I came to know, quote unquote, the true definition of an MFD. Right, so which we often now is because of the regulatory constraints is address ourselves to the investors that we are MFDs, right? And so when this investor asked me, what is MFD? So I said mutual fund distributor. He said no, that's a very wrong definition. The correct definition is my friend in times of distress.
Lovely.
Right. So it's you are my true friend, that the importance for you is practically known or understood only when there is distress, financial distress. Right, where you come up, throw up the ideas, throw up the suggestions, what to do, how to manage liquidity, how to look upon for solutions for investment needs, blah, blah, and blah, blah. Right. So I would say is that MFDs have been and will always continue to play a very major role hand-holding the investors. It is this competition and tough times that would motivate all of the MFDs is to think differently. Through my interaction with the friends and within the industry, and I'm very delighted, I must say, is very delighted to see that there is an urgency, there is a sense of urgency amongst most of the MFDs is to transform, innovate, and upgrade on the knowledge and skills for self as well as their teams. Most of them are entitled through with thoughts to move away from sellers. What another panelist just said is कि हमें बेचना है, right? That's a seller's market. To move away from a seller situation to more as a solution providers. Get themselves set up in a, you can say, quote unquote, a organized setup, which these days we are talking a lot is moving from an unorganized to a organized setup. Then is design upon and practice upon systems and processes based approach, and move from one man solution to a teamwork. That is very important. That makes the difference. See, the client should always have the comfort that if it is not Viksit is not reachable or accessible, then he has a team. There is somebody else, like whom is I can call on to Viksit of office, and there would be a what is very important is having upon consistency in advice, right? That can happen only when is you have a skilled team, right? Okay. It's not only that you are upgrading yourself, you are gaining knowledge, but your team lacks upon. Have upon predefined system so that Viksit is not an office, doesn't matter. The show goes on. Right. Yeah. So that's what we discussed is that over the last 6-7 years is I have put upon my efforts to come up with systems and process of whitelisting of these schemes, have the do's and don'ts clear, what I will do, what I will not do. Right. So there is, the idea is that there is uniformity of thought, there is a uniformity of suggestion, and there is a uniformity on the execution. Okay. Right. So these are the things which I would say would play a major role defining going forward, evolving, changing the MFD business. Also, what I would say is that there's a humongous opportunity amongst we MFDs is to either, if we are one is capable, see, everyone has limitations. There could be a USP what Viksit may have, there could be a different USP what Gajendra may have. It's the time to go in and create a marriage between these two USPs, right? Yep. So create JVs, create mergers, right? And create a larger, you can say, a setup, right? So wherein is we are able is to do away with this one-man show. We are able to demonstrate to the clients that yes, look, we are, you can say, keen enough, right? So that if Viksit is not there, anything can go wrong, God forbid, with any one of us. So then as the client has that, oh, right, I am there in the right setup, there is somebody else to guide me up, to sail me across. Also is to, within us, within our families, within our personal families, like having upon this kind of a setup would go a long mile. See, when COVID times have taught us, see, God forbid, anything wrong can happen with me as such. So at least when we are in an organized setup, so that continuity for livelihood to the family is there. Right? So we have to look on ourselves as well. So it has to be you can say, a balancing act on both the sides, is to the clients as well as towards us.
Okay, great. आशीष जी, I'll come to you. मेरा सवाल आपसे ये है कि आज के आगे की सेल्स प्रोसेस एमएफडी के लिए क्या होना चाहिए? Should it be more about return selling, or how does an MFD move to portfolio management? कैसे करना चाहिए? अपने आप को कैसे पिच करे, कैसे बता?
ये तो शुरुआत से ही है। ये बात जब हम करते हैं, जब हम किसी भी क्लाइंट से मिलते हैं, तो क्लाइंट से मिलने के बाद में ही ये प्रोसेस शुरू हो जाता है। आज की भी डेट में हम जब भी कभी किसी क्लाइंट से मिलते हैं तो उसका पेपर पे एक बेसिक बायोडाटा डेवलप करते हैं, और बेसिक बायोडाटा डेवलप करते हुए हम उसके बारे में सारी चीजें जानना चाहते हैं। इवन थोड़ा सा हमारे यहाँ चूंकि सारे के सारे इन्वेस्टमेंट जो होते हैं, अगर वो इंडिविजुअल बेसिस के इन्वेस्टमेंट हैं तो वो आइदर सर्वाइवल मोड में ही होते हैं। तो हम अक्सर करके नए इन्वेस्टर से उसके मतलब कि जब सेकंड होल्डर में उसकी स्पाउस का नाम लिखते हैं तो साथ में मदर्स मैडम नेम में सास का नाम भी पूछते हैं, और सास का नाम जब वो नहीं बता पाता तो हम कहते हैं कि अरे देखो दहेज ले लिया लेकिन सास का नाम नहीं पता है। फिर उसके बाद में उनके बच्चों के नाम जब डालते हैं तो बच्चों की डेट ऑफ बर्थ पर भी कंफ्यूजन होते हैं उनको। उनके जब एनुअल इनकम की बात करते हैं तो वो उस पर भी कहते हैं कि अरे उसने सीए ने कितना दिखाया है। तो हम बोलते हैं कि टेंटेटिव आप अपने मतलब कि वो बताओ कि कितनी इनकम आती है। तो ऐसे बहुत सारी चीजें हैं कि जहां से गुजर के एक क्लाइंट इस बात पे तैयार होता है कि उसको ये डिस्कस करना होता है कि अब उसको क्या करना है, उसको क्या करना है। तो हम उसके साथ डिस्कस करके ये तय करते हैं कि अगले साल, 2 साल, 3 साल, 5 साल का प्लान कैसे करेंगे। इवन एक नया बच्चा अगर आया मेरे पास में और उस नए बच्चे ने मेरे से कहा कि इसको मतलब कि किस तरीके से प्लान करें, एक नया लड़का जिसको नौकरी मिली है, जिसकी अभी शादी नहीं हुई है, तो हम उसको वैसे ही सामान्य मजाक में उससे बोलते हैं कि चलो मान लो कि अगले 2 साल में तुमको शादी करनी है, तो 2 साल में तुम्हारी शादी 2024 में फिक्स हो गई। तो 2024 में अगर शादी फिक्स हो गई तो जाहिर सी बात है कि मेरे टाइप के यार दोस्त आएंगे तो एक तुमको मतलब कि कॉकटेल पार्टी देनी पड़ेगी। तो कॉकटेल पार्टी का बजट कुछ सम अराउंड 70-75 हजार हो जाएगा। तो यहां से 70-75 हजार को भी तुमको याद करना है कि 70-75 हजार भी चाहिए। उसके बाद शादी कर लोगे तो शादी के बाद में तुमको एक नई फैमिली मिलेगी, तुम्हारे इन-लॉज मिलेंगे, तो तुम्हारे पास ऐसे अनएक्सपेक्टेड खर्चे आएंगे जो तुमको पता भी नहीं है। हनीमून जाना होगा उसका भी खर्चा है, फिर उसके बाद बेबी प्लान करोगे तो बेबी प्लान करने का खर्चा है। और बेबी प्लान करने का खर्चा नहीं देना चाहते हो तो एक अपना हेल्थ इंश्योरेंस भी साथ में करा के रखो और उसमें स्पाउस को ऐड कर लेना। उसके साथ में फिर आगे की बात करते हैं कि अगर बेबी प्लान करोगे तो बेबी प्लान करने के बाद में 3 साल में उसका एडमिशन कराना होगा, वहां से आने वाला खर्चा, और ऐसे तमाम सारे खर्चों की जब फहरिस्त हम गिनाते हैं तो आज की डेट में वो आदमी थोड़ा सा मतलब कि जो जो मूड लेकर आया है कि चलो ठीक है 5,000 लगा देते हैं, 4,000 लगा देते हैं, 10,000 लगा देते हैं, फिर उसके बाद थोड़ा कॉन्शियस होता है जब वो इन सारी चीजों को, तो कहीं ना कहीं पोर्टफोलियो मैनेजमेंट की ही जरूरत है। अक्सर करके लोग क्या करते हैं कि लोग क्लाइंट को देखते हैं और क्लाइंट के हिसाब से उसको अपने इन्वेस्टमेंट्स बता देते हैं कि ये आप कर लोगे तो उसको फायदा मिलेगा, लेकिन क्लाइंट का एपेटाइट डेवलप करना ज्यादा जरूरी है। क्लाइंट जिस एपेटाइट के हिसाब से आया है, आने वाले दिनों में उसकी सैलरी, उसकी इनकम बढ़ेगी। तो आप ये मत सोचो कि आज के डेट में क्या रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटीज हैं। जैसे सपोज कोई क्लाइंट ऐसा आया जिसके पास घर की थोड़ी जिम्मेदारियां हैं, आने वाले दिनों में उसकी घर की जिम्मेदारियां जब खत्म होगी तो उसके पास एक इनकम आएगी ना। किसी का कार का लोन है तो हम ये जानने की भी कोशिश करते हैं कि उसका कार का लोन कब खत्म होगा, और कार का लोन कब खत्म होगा तो उस पैसे से मेरा मेरा इन्वेस्टमेंट किस तरीके से बढ़ेगा, या उसके जो पुराने इन्वेस्टमेंट थे उन पुराने इन्वेस्टमेंट में कितना सही है कितना गलत है, और उनमें से अपने को क्या पैसा मिल सकता है। और उसको सब जानने के बाद में तभी हम क्लाइंट को ये सजेस्ट करते हैं कि यहां से आप ऐसी चीजें करोगे तो जाकर भविष्य में ऐसा होगा। और सीधी सीधी बात है कि जो जो आज की लाइफ स्टाइल है उससे बेहतर लाइफ स्टाइल भविष्य में होनी चाहिए, और उसके लिए किस तरीके से आदमी अपने इन्वेस्टमेंट को प्लान करेगा ये उस चीज पर डिपेंड करेगा कि उसका पोर्टफोलियो कितना बढ़िया है और कितना बढ़िया से उसके पोर्टफोलियो का मैनेजमेंट हुआ है। तो हम सभी ये कोशिश करते हैं, हमारे जो पैनलिस्ट हैं साथ में, वो जो काम बेंगलुरु में या मुंबई में या गुड़गांव में कर रहे हैं ये उनके इन्वेस्टर को तो फायदा करता ही करता है, कहीं ना कहीं हमारे इन्वेस्टर को भी फायदा करता है। मेरे पास मुंबई, गुड़गांव और बेंगलुरु में जो इन्वेस्टर हैं, तो कहीं ना कहीं आप लोगों के इन्वेस्टर से भी मेरा इन्वेस्टर मिला हुआ है। कहीं ना कहीं आपके किए हुए अच्छे काम भी मेरे को फायदा करते हैं यहाँ छोटे से शहर में। जब हम अपने मतलब कि उस छोटे से शहर में जहां पर पूरी तरीके से फिक्स इंस्ट्रूमेंट का बोलबाला रहा हमेशा से, वहां पर वो लड़के जो नया जनरेशन आ रहा है जो बेंगलुरु में, हैदराबाद में, मुंबई में, गुड़गांव में, नोएडा में इस्टेब्लिश है, पुणे में इस्टेब्लिश है, वो जब आ रहा है तो वो वहां से काफी सारी नई चीजें सीख कर आ रहा है और उसको हमेशा मन होता है कि अब इसको आशीष से डिस्कस करेंगे और आशीष के साथ में इन्वेस्टमेंट करेंगे, तो आप सभी के करने का फायदा है। और जो भी हिंदुस्तान में जहां कहीं भी इन्वेस्टमेंट को प्लान कर रहे हैं लोगों के, उसका फायदा सबको मिल रहा है। मेरे किए का भी शायद किसी ना किसी डिस्ट्रीब्यूटर को फायदा मिलता होगा, और इसी तरीके से जो डिस्ट्रीब्यूटर जहां भी एफर्ट कर रहे हैं उसका फायदा मिल रहा है। हम सभी को सिर्फ यही कोशिश करनी है कि जो बेचे सही बेचे, गलत ना बेचे। बाजार में अच्छा बुरा लगा रहेगा, बाजार कभी कम ज्यादा करती रहेगी। हमको उस समय पर इन्वेस्टर को यह बताना है कि आपका पोर्टफोलियो सही है, आपके पोर्टफोलियो में कोई कमी नहीं है, बस ये समय की मार है, समय की मार से बाहर निकल जाओगे, अगेन आपका पोर्टफोलियो बेहतरीन तरीके से रिटर्न बनाएगा।
Sure. Thank you, Ashish ji. Gajendra, let me come to you and very specific problem which many MFDs face. And when I talk to MFDs across, there are two basic roadblocks they face. One is how do you go beyond a certain set of clients? It would be a new first set of clients which made somebody start this entrepreneur journey. The second roadblock comes when people get bogged down by service, and where somebody who was actually a people person was actually filling up forms or doing the back end or the compliance part or so many other documentation part of this business. What do you think are the three things an MFD should do for them to overcome the roadblocks and take those big leaps for the next 10 years?
Yeah, Mayukh, I can certainly tell you from my own example. You would have come to my earlier offices in Lokhandwala, where it was a square foot office and 3-member team. And initially, I used to handle clients on my own, and this is like 12 years ago. So the moment I realized that, if you have crossed, let's say 100 clients, right, it's time to add one more person. Because otherwise, your bandwidth will get choked up and you will not be able to grow and scale up, right? So the best way is to keep adding every time you have 50 or 100 people, new clients have joined, create a bench strength. Like in IT industry, we always hear, Infosys and TCS of the world have bench strength, people waiting to be given a project, So if you have that bench strength, then you will also have some kind of a tension in your mind कि यार ये नया बंदा रख लिया तो इसको कुछ काम भी कराना पड़ेगा, and you try and reskill and reskill them, So this is what happens. And in every business, Mayukh, 20% of the client gives 80% of the business and vice versa.
Yes.
Those remaining 80% of the clients which are giving you only 20% of the business, that you should start giving to your team members and let them handle and let them kind of, learn with them. So this is where you'll be able to, find more time to yourself. Unfortunately, yes, most of the MFDs in our country, we are so much focusing in the business that we stop focusing on the business. We don't think ourselves like an entrepreneur.
Yes.
So, तब फिर टाइम ही नहीं मिलेगा आपको, तो that is one thing. Secondly, I will also give you a very good suggestion to all the viewers here. You have come to all my offices, and now we have an office which is like 2,100 square feet. So 1 year back when we took this office, me and my Nikhil brother were discussing that currently our team is 30 people and this office can sit 45 people, right? So मेरे दोस्त ने हमेशा मुझे कहा था कि ऑफिस इतनी बड़ी लो कि खाली लगनी चाहिए, एंड तुम्हारे रात को तुमको सोते वक्त टेंशन आना चाहिए कि यार ये ऑफिस भरेगी कैसे, right? And believe me, with all the offices that we've taken in, it's a matter of 1.5 years, your office gets filled up completely to the capacity.
Sure.
So I think this is a good way to kind of think big, okay? And you have pressure in your mind. You will always make sure that you score at a run rate, particular run rate. You don't get complacent. Basically, क्या होता है? Mayukh, you have had a vast experience of dealing with many IFAs who are stuck now at 200, 300 crores or 100 crores, and they're not growing bigger because उनकी appetite अब भर गई है, वो और expand नहीं करना चाहते हैं, क्योंकि उनकी जो office खरीदी हुई है ना, तो वो full हो गई है, अब उनको लगता है कि अब एक और खरीदनी पड़ेगी, and that's a big decision, right? So that's why this rental thing and every 3 years looking into bigger office helps. And finally, the third thing, which if you have to grow, you have to leverage tech in a beautiful way, right? जो काम आप लगता है delegate कर सकते हो, उसको delegate कर देना चाहिए. I think as an MFD, our only thing should be to just think about long-term strategy of the firm and meeting only 20% of the clients. You don't have to meet all 100 clients, and that's why hire like-minded people, train them, okay, and be a mentor to your team members, right? See, आपने आशीष जी ने बताया 15 साल से वो कर रहे हैं. Viksit ji has been doing, and Rajee. So we have now gained experience, but our team members have not. And the learnings that we have had, Mayukh, for the last 10, 15 years, our job should be to try and transmit this to 10, 15 of our team members and make them our kind of brand ambassadors of the firm. That is the only way we can do. अगर हम सोचेंगे सब कुछ हम खुद कर लेंगे, like we all want to be like Amir Khan, हम लोग सब काम perfect करना चाहते हैं. But then Amir Khan only makes one film in 4 years, right?
Sure.
So अगर हमको scale up करना है, बड़ा बनना है और लोगों की real problem को help करना है, so I think we have to try and create copies of ourselves in some way or other.
Lovely. So before we start the other questions, Raji, my last question is to you. Where do you see the MFD business for yourself and for your contemporaries in the next decade?
Actually, I am very positive and very optimistic about my business for the next decade, and not only my business, this whole profession that all of us are in. I feel the potential for growth is very, very high here if we continue to upskill, enhance our services, and be ethical in our practice. We are looking at a very good decade ahead. I am personally looking at working with more clients and also improving my engagements with my existing clients. We have added a few products we have added P2P lending, insurance, etc. to our services. So I would say there are very good times ahead. Maybe we will have some speed breakers in between, but it's going to be a very satisfying journey. So that's where I come from.
Sure.
And also, I think one quality that would help us a lot, which has helped me a lot, is to accept and understand that what we are doing is something very important. Most of the time we, especially with the regulations, we say we are distributors, we are MFDs or whatever is the nomenclature. The role that we are playing in our client's life is very important. We are walking with them in a very significant part of from their 20 to their 70s is a very significant part of their life, and we are walking a very important journey with them. So that kind of, if you focus on that, you will find that whatever issues we have had with regulation, whatever issues we have had with revenues or returns, market cycles, all that kind of become really less significant. It helps in two ways. It gives us a very good sense of purpose, gives us a lot of dignity and respect in our own minds. If we are convinced of this, we communicate this easily. We transmit this easily to our existing clients as well as our potential clients. So I think that feeling of self-esteem should be something that each MFD should cultivate, as understanding his role as something very, very important in the life of the client. I think that would help a lot, and we have fantastic times ahead.
Thank you so much. So with that, we'll come to our final section. Now, for want of any other words, let's call it the rapid fire. But I have some quick questions and I want some quick answers from our panelists, and I'll fire the questions as per the name. So I'll start with you, Viksit ji. Where do you see your business and your role in the next 10 years?
I'll see is I'm very, very confident of leaps and bounds growth on the AUMs. However, to be honest, Mayukh, is over the last 25 years, I have not developed the passion is to share my 25 years of experience with my friends and colleagues, and to be a motivator and guide for them to scale up and upgrade themselves. And as what you know is there have been a lot of IFA friends who've been calling me from various different locations, pan country, trying to understand for these systems and processes. So I would really love now is to assist my friends that way to grow.
So probably 10x growth and mentoring.
See, much more than that. Here I'm still confident. Much more than that. Beyond that.
Gajendra, what do you know now which you wish you knew when you started Etica 10 years back?
I think power of compounding. Today I can see this in my business. I can see in the profession. I can see in my portfolio. 10 years pehle, I only knew the formula, not the real meaning.
Lovely. Ashish ji, what do you recommend to do when you know that we have done some mistakes in our investments which would harm our clients? तब आप क्या करते हैं?
गलत प्रोडक्ट शायद नहीं बेचते हम क्लाइंट को, जिसकी जैसी जरूरत है वैसा प्रोडक्ट उसको बेचते हैं। तो इस बात की चिंता नहीं करते कि क्लाइंट का नुकसान हो रहा है, जब क्लाइंट का नुकसान हो रहा है तो हर बार उससे कहते हैं कि थोड़े और पैसे लगाओ, थोड़े और पैसे लगाओ। जो गोल डिसाइड किया था उस गोल तक आपको पहुंचना है। बड़ा सिंपल है कि अपने अपने इन्वेस्टमेंट को भी डॉक्टर, इंजीनियर, आईएएस, पीएस बनाओ।
Okay, thank you. Raji, my next question, what do you think is your success mantra which separates you from the competition?
So what I feel is there is the sense of abundance, in the sense there is so much potential, so much market, so many clients to be helped, that we don't have to focus on the competition. We just have to focus inward on ourselves and doing what is right for us. Having said that, what has worked for me perhaps is, I had this as a tagline in my WhatsApp status also for a long time: no matter what, get up, dress up, show up. So what it essentially means is take responsibility, take ownership for your clients as well as your team members.
Lovely. Gajendra, which investment products would you want in your bouquet for the future and why?
Mayukh, 99% of my money has been in mutual funds because I truly believe in them. And I would put my clients' money only where I put my own money. So in this way, I want to be as transparent as possible, because you would like to eat in that restaurant where the owners are eating their own food, right? That gives you so much confidence. So even in future, if I want to give anything to my client, I would make sure first I try with myself. Only when I'm satisfied, I should, then kind of talk about it.
Sure. Viksit ji, what will be the X factor for your practice for the next 10 years?
See, the business is growing. It's on an auto mode, honestly. Is the systems and processes which I have created, they have started yielding results. The team has matured. What we have done is, Mayukh, we've scaled down on new client acquisition. That is that 20% client is, do I have the entire 100% wallet share of that 20% clients? Right. So this is another aspect where we can all introspect and then further create humongous opportunities for us.
So Raji, my next question is to you, what helps more, knowing the next best product or managing the greed and fear of clients?
The next best product I'll know only after 10 years, right? I won't know it now.
Right.
So that's something that I cannot control. But managing my clients' emotions is something that I can control or I can work on. So that's where my efforts will be.
Ashish ji, what works for you? Two choices. Same share से ज़्यादा clients या clients from different cities. What is more favorable for you?
हमारी शुरुआत तो हमेशा से मतलब रही, जब हम क्लाइंट ढूंढते थे तो क्लाइंट अपने अपने हिसाब का ढूंढते थे, वो चाहे हमारे शहर में हो चाहे बाहर के शहर का हो। आज तो बहुत सारे बिजनेस डिजिटल मोड पे हो रहे हैं, ऐसे तमाम सारे क्लाइंट हमारे पास जिनसे मैं कभी मिला भी नहीं।
Which are the two books which have influenced your approach to your business?
Books, reminds me of lot many. But then I am a great fan of Peter Lynch, One Up on Wall Street. This is for personal investing. And that second one is Principles of Ray Dalio. Terrific stuff that has changed my entire, you can say, mindset about the investments, as well myself as an investor, as well as myself as an advisor.
Okay.
Right, and especially the Ray Dalio, the principles is wherein is to understand where you have gone wrong, and then is how to correct that wrongs.
Okay. So Raji, my next question for you: 100 crores of AUM or 100 clients? Which one would you choose?
100 clients, definitely, for two reasons. One is my whole excitement or interest in this business is to working with people and not with numbers. So 100 clients, and if I'm talking of 100 clients, I'm perfectly confident that the 100 crores is too small a target. It's going to be much more.
Gajendra, is there anything which keeps you awake at night when you think about the business?
I think the only thing that God has given us far more potential, we are still not able to utilize even 10% of it. We could do even much bigger. And, I think, I'm sure all of us, as Rajee said, this is not a numbers game we are playing. We are here to touch the lives of as many people as possible in this world. And we've been sent for a purpose, right? So that's why we should feel very proud and, not see whatever regulator may call you by any name or any, industry nomenclature, you should feel proud that what you're doing. So the only thing which awakes me at night is that, so far what I've been feeling, right now what we're doing is we are trying to just make richer people rich people even more richer. Can we really try, go out one day and try and touch the bottom of the pyramid? That is where our true role, as advisors would come into play.
Viksitji, my last question was to you. CFP, degrees or practical experience, which is more effective in the long run?
Mayukh, both. See, knowledge again is essential, right? But then as knowledge alone is not, would make it sure that for the survival.
Okay.
Right? So knowledge then is supplemented by as the practical experience would make a deadly composition.
Okay, great. So thank you so much, all of you. It has been a wonderful 1 hour. So many nuggets of wisdom and so many years of experience distilled across the country. I have personally had such great interactions with all of you that having all of you together for an hour, coming and talking to us, sharing your experiences. And I know that your videos have got us more queries, and many of the people have actually called you up and have got in touch with you regarding how this is taken forward. For us, Big Leap was just an idea. We started out very fresh. We just had some rudimentary questions, but the way you had taken it up and your experiences have given us the viewership, we have only gratitude and a lot of thank you from us and Mirae for that. So thank you, Rajee, Gajendra, Ashish ji, Viksit ji for this. And thank you, viewers, for being a part of this 100th episode. Any last comments from our panelists, and then we can bring this to a close.
I would like to congratulate Mirae Asset for such a fabulous, you can say, the journey for the 100th episode of Leap. This will go, honestly, as leaps and bounds enhancing the industry.
Thank you so much.
I wish you and the Mirae Asset all the very best, and I look forward and I wish that soon we would be there on the 200th edition.
I hope so.
Right.
Okay. So thank you, everyone. Thank you so much and have a good day. Thank you, viewers, for watching The Big Leap from Mirae.
Thank you, my pleasure.
Mutual fund investments are subject to market risks. Read all scheme-related documents carefully.